Zion Williamson is going to the New York Knicks? Is such a thing possible right now? While the NBA season is still very much progressing for some teams in the league, mainly those who have advanced to the second round of the playoffs, for others, it's over. And now that includes the New Orleans Pelicans. They had a valiant fight in the first round of the playoffs against the number 1 seed Phoenix Suns. But it wasn't enough in the end. And now the really hard questions begin. Not the least of which is that of how to handle the situation with Zion, and for many, the key idea is to trade him. Number 4, the New York Knicks. This is the big name that is floating around right now, and if you know the score, you can understand why the Knicks might be up for something like this. But of course, it's all about the deal, and here's the current projection on that deal. New Orleans Pelicans receive forward Obi Toppin, guard Alec Burks, 2022 first-round pick New York Knicks, 2023 first-round pick New York Knicks swap, 2024 first-round pick New York Knicks, 2025 first-round pick New York Knicks swap, 2026 first-round pick New York Knicks. New York Knicks receive forward Zion Williamson. Are they sure they're not getting James Harden for this deal? We kid, mostly, but this does resemble the Harden trade to the Nets, as the Nets gave the Houston Rockets a lot of draft picks in order to get Harden, and the Knicks might try such a deal. They're parting with a total of 6 picks or pick swaps in this exchange. That's 1 less than the Rockets received for Harden. The Beard was an in-prime superstar without a laundry list of injury concerns, so thus why this trade is a bit, tricky at best. With so many questions surrounding Williamson's future, his value is slightly depreciated. Plus, the Pelicans are receiving a promising young player at the same position in Obi Toppin. There is risk involved for both sides in this exchange. As painful as it is to say, the Knicks can't be sure that Williamson will ever overcome his health problems. They're potentially trading away their future for a handful of magic beans, some would say. Meanwhile, there is always a risk incurred in acquiring draft picks. If Williamson does become the player he has the potential to be, all of these picks have a strong likelihood of landing outside of the lottery, which would obviously make the trade even riskier, as Pelicans would have to hope the Knicks do poorly consistently, not an odd ask given the last 2 decades, in order to make the most of their trade. So that begs its own question, doesn't it? Why would the Knicks risk it all? Well, it's because they're in need of a true superstar right now. They've been surprising people with who they have and making it work, but it's not enough. Especially not with a stacked Eastern Conference that will likely be even better next year when key players return from injury. They need someone to push them to the next level, and they might feel it's Zion, for better or for worse. The Knicks have taken a lot of risks in the past though, and it hasn't worked out. But maybe this one could. We honestly can't say for certain. Number 3, Houston Rockets. It's not just the Knicks though that might go for Zion. And yes, one of those teams might just be the Houston Rockets. Here's the rumored trade breakdown. New Orleans Pelicans receive center Alperen Sengun, center Christian Wood, 2022 first-round pick Houston, 2023 first-round pick Brooklyn, 2025 first-round pick Brooklyn. Houston Rockets receive forward Zion Williamson. Now, to be fair, the Rockets are as good a candidate to broker a blockbuster for Williamson as any. As a franchise that has enjoyed consistent success in recent history before the Harden trade, they'd love to accelerate their rebuild. An offense built around Williamson and Jalen Green would overwhelm opponents on a nightly basis. As for the Pelicans, they receive an interesting package here. Depending on who you talk to, Alperen Sengun is either a future superstar or a quality reserve. His blend of low-post footwork and prodigious passing vision titillates. On the other hand, his slow feet and short arms lend themselves to concern about his defensive potential. But in the right person's hands, it could work out. You just need to have a little faith on the matter. Christian Wood is mainly here to make the money work. Still, the Pelicans could see potential in the 26-year-old. Questions about his character and defensive effort are prevalent. Still, he is one of the better stretch big men in the National Basketball Association. And if he's on the court, that almost makes him as valuable as Zion, given that Zion hasn't played all season for the Pelicans. The Pelicans also receive a nice return of draft capital here, so if they play it the right way, they could build up their squad for whatever future they try and have. Number 2, Miami Heat. Now this one might surprise some of you. After all, the Miami Heat, despite injuries and inconsistencies this year, are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference right now, and were in the NBA Finals a few seasons back in the bubble playoffs. So you might think that they'd be immune from wanting to make a high-profile deal. But that is never the deal in the NBA, but here's the deal they could give for Zion. New Orleans Pelicans receive guard Tyler Hero, center Omer Yurtseven, guard forward Duncan Robinson, 2023 first-round pick Miami, 2026 first-round pick Miami, 2028 first-round pick Miami. Miami Heat receive forward Zion Williamson. This deal will come down to how highly the Pelicans front office is on Tyler Hero. At 22, Hero still has star potential. At the same time, you'd have to be irrationally high on him to suggest he had the same ceiling as Zion Williamson. This is exactly why the Pelicans are again receiving draft capital here. They're also getting less of it than they do in the other packages, and there are two reasons for that. The first one is that the Heat have fewer picks to spare. On the other hand, they're also giving up the young player with the most trade value in this piece in Hero. Omer Yurtseven isn't a mere throw-in. This season, the 23-year-old rookie has been a pleasant surprise, averaging 15.2 points and 15 rebounds per 36 minutes. He has the potential to be a long-standing rotation player in the NBA. Robinson is mostly a salary matcher. With Hero and Yurtseven both on modest rookie deals, the Pelicans are forced to eat his questionable contract in this exchange. He has still flashed the potential to be an elite floor spacer in the NBA, even if he was having a down year in 2021-2022. Still, this trade is highlighted by Hero and 3 first-round picks from the Pelicans' perspective. If their asking price is a young star in draft capital, they will struggle to do much better. To be honest, this particular trade is going to be heavily rooted in what happens within the NBA playoffs that are going on right now. The Heat look strong in the first round of the playoffs, but if they reach the finals and fail again, or if they don't reach the finals despite being the number 1 seed, the higher up, see Pat Riley, might feel that they need that extra piece to push them up to the top once again. Number 1, Zion's future injuries. Make no mistake, everything in terms of trades and non-trades will be focused on Zion Williamson and his health. When he is on the court, he's honestly very dominant, but when he's off the court, it tends to be for a long time. Just this season, the Pelicans said he would play in the first game, but he hasn't played all season. His injuries just don't heal well enough. And then there was the weight issue that also marred things. This is very reminiscent of the big man curse that has happened to players like Greg Oden over their careers. They seem like they'll be dominant like players of old, but that's not always the case. No one wants Zion to have a short career, but we're in his 3rd NBA season now and he's only just gotten past playing enough games to fill a single season. Which is why any trade with him is risky at best, because no one, not even Zion, can guarantee that he'll be healthy enough to go not just in the 82-game season, but in the playoffs should his new team make it there. It's a lot of things that have to land the right way, but despite that, the trade rumors do continue. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Zion Williamson and how he might be going to the New York Knicks or to someone else should the right trade present itself? Do you think that something like this might just happen in the offseason? Which team do you feel will make a push for Zion, if any at all? Let us know in the comments below, and we will see you next time on the channel.